A week or so ago, I covered the city council meeting in Kinston, North Carolina, where the townsfolk, and Richard Taylor, who doesn't live there, came out of the woodwork demanding justice for the police's treatment of Cameron Williams. There was a burglary in Kinston, and Cameron happened to be in the immediate area. The police suspected he may have been involved, and so they attempted to detain him for questioning. Rather than simply invoking his Fifth Amendment right, Cameron just walked away from the cops. One thing led to another, and they had him on the ground where he began having seizures. Sometime later, community activists made total fools of themselves, demanding that the city council defund the police and invest in arts programs. And we had a lot of fun teasing them. But now things have turned more serious. It turns out that Cameron Williams' name has popped up again in the media, and I suspect that Kinstonites won't be lining up in City Hall for this one. Buckle up as you'll smirk your smirkiest smirk at this latest turn of events. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
It lasts just over 3 minutes. 18-year-old Cameron Williams held to the ground, a Kinston police corporal on his back. Just seconds into the video, that corporal hits Williams at least 2 times. Moments later, other officers arrive on scene and help hold Williams to the ground. Williams begins shaking, what he says was a seizure.
What you see is what happens after you go into dick mode when all the police wanted to do was ask you some questions. And so we heard cries of police brutality. Film director and graduate of the Rashad Ritchie School of Hyper Self-Promotion, Rosita Cox had a lot to say during the city council meeting, where she cried for defunding the police.
I believe arts program is a part of an ecosystem of safety that could have prevented current issues. While I previously sought collaboration, I'm now here because of the tragic beating of Cameron Williams. I want to give a shout out to our community for finally showing up. Our advocacy will go beyond Facebook this time. Why? Because I will personally not stand by and sit comfortably at home while you murder Black children.
Of course, Cameron didn't even die, but why let a fact get in the way of a good tirade?
Kinston Police Department has gone unchecked for far too long. I ask, if we are spending almost $7 million in Kinston Police Department each year, and every year they seem to receive a raise, why do we still have so much crime and violence in our town? The answer:
Cameron Williams. Oh, you didn't hear? Update: teenager seen in viral arrest video now facing additional unrelated charges. And who do we have here? Well, by golly, that's Cameron Williams. Let me go ahead and read this for you. Kinston police say the teenager seen getting arrested in a viral video earlier this month is now facing even more charges stemming from an unrelated weekend shooting. Cameron Williams is now charged with accessory after the fact to armed robbery, possession of a stolen firearm, and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. On Monday, the 18-year-old was arrested after police say they executed a search warrant at his home as part of an ongoing investigation into a shooting that happened on Saturday. Police said on Monday that they arrested a 17-year-old for attempted murder in connection with Saturday's shooting on Richard Green Court that left a man injured. As they continued their investigation into the shooting, police say detectives searched Williams' home in Carver Courts. During the search, detectives found 2 guns, various weapon accessories, and ammunition. Police say one of the guns was reported stolen out of Greenville. Williams was initially charged with accessory after the fact to attempted first-degree murder, accessory after the fact to assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury, possession of a stolen firearm, communicating threats, and resist, obstruct, and delay. And yeah, the English is a little fouled up there. Earlier this month, a separate arrest went viral online showing an officer using force against Williams while on the ground. Kinston police say the 17-year-old charged in the weekend shooting is facing additional counts of robbery with a dangerous weapon, possession of a stolen firearm, felony conspiracy, possession of a handgun by a minor, and discharging a firearm within city limits. So here's a summary. The 17-year-old juvenile has been charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon, possession of a stolen firearm, felony conspiracy, possession of a handgun by a minor, discharging a firearm within city limits. Cameron Williams received the following additional charges: accessory after the fact to armed robbery, possession of a stolen firearm, second count related to the firearm taken during the robbery, conspiracy to commit armed robbery. Williams has facing multiple additional charges. And yeah, the English is messed up. Accessory after the fact to attempted first-degree murder, accessory after the fact to assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. So what actually happened? Warrants show that Williams assisted a juvenile suspect by allowing him to stay in his apartment, sheltering him, and giving him a change of clothes. Warrants also state that Williams took possession of the stolen handgun that was used in the attempted murder. So I want to make sure I have this right. The police are trying to stop crime and hold those accountable for crimes committed against others. In the meantime, people like Cameron Williams, the real heroes among community activists, are helping criminals commit crimes. And the cops are the real cause of crime in your community? You can't make this shit up. If there was ever anything that Cameron could do to destroy Rosita Cox's argument, it was acting as an accessory for abetting violent felonies.
Effectively combating crime and violence requires addressing community needs and investing in social services, life-affirming programs. Traditional strategies have failed us. Crime is high in Kinston, and so is the police budget. What does that mean? That means they're not doing their job.
That means they not doing their job? Okay. I don't know about that. They arrested Cameron. She goes on to say that crime is essentially caused by those who are starving.
The only way to address crime and violence, it has been proven, is by addressing issues at their root. We need to give our community what they need. There are children who can't eat. There are mothers who can't give their kids lunch money. All of the kids at Kinston High are on the free lunch program.
That's no big deal. There are plenty of communities that have 90, 100% FRPM and are not as violent as Kinston.
But we giving $6 million a year to a police force that is beating Black children for walking down the street?
And the answer to that, of course, is no. The police are not beating Black children for walking down the street. Going back to the previous incident where Cameron had seizures during a police detainment, Cameron had nothing to do with the burglary, but he matched the description of someone wanted for the burglary, and he was in the area. Officers at that point have reasonably articulated suspicion that Cameron may have been involved. That gives them the power to detain Cameron for questioning. Can Cameron refuse to answer questions? Sure. Can he refuse to identify himself? No. Can he simply walk away? No. He's being detained. He has no choice but to stay where they tell him. The problem is that Cameron refused to stop and tried walking away. He said so himself.
I kept hearing him say stop, but I'm thinking in my mind, what's the point of stopping when I ain't do nothing wrong? And he's looking for somebody else.
In short, Cameron was not thrown to the ground simply because he was walking down the street. That's a cause-effect fallacy that is all too commonly used by street activists. The police have a job to do. A crime has been committed. They're trying to find the person who did it. If they can and they arrest the person, that makes your community safer. And what did you do? You tried your best to make it more difficult on them. Walking away constitutes obstruction because he was given a lawful order to remain in place as he was being detained. At that point, officers can arrest him, not for the burglary, of course, but for the obstruction. And let me point out something crucial that people like Richard and Rosita don't and will never understand. It matters not whether Cameron was involved in the burglary.
Are y'all serious? Are y'all serious? Half of y'all are Black. Are y'all serious right now? I'm going to show up here every time y'all meet until some of that money is reallocated.
Then plan on coming for a long time. I highly doubt she showed up again.
We got a homeless shelter. There are homeless people in the streets. We have a mental health crisis. You can put that money towards social services. There are so many places. I came here with a 12-page PowerPoint with all of the ways you can invest in our young people, and yet I am back because no one called me, but because I saw a video of a young man seizing under a grown man's body.
And why did that happen? Well, it appears that Cameron didn't go along so willingly with this arrest for obstruction. There's a reason why he's on the ground. Usually when an officer arrests you, you place your hands behind your back, you get cuffed, and you step into the back of the police car, all the while screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and complaining that the cops have confiscated your cell phone. Because racism. And if you're a woman, you complain that you have to go pee. But that didn't happen here. Instead, Cameron found himself on the ground and possibly serving as the shredded beef in a police burrito. So clearly, something went wrong. It could be that the officer just threw him to the ground in order to arrest him, but I find it highly doubtful. So, in summary, Cameron turned a mere obstruction charge into a resisting arrest charge. The fact that Cameron had nothing to do with the burglary is irrelevant. Makes no difference. Cameron simply dummied down and turned a simple detainment into a jail visit. How did he manage to get a charge over the police investigating a crime that he had nothing to do with? I'm sure the cops interviewed other potential suspects they were able to keep from being arrested. Why couldn't Cameron? Aw, don't go away mad. What did others have to say?
Councilmember Chris Suggs responded during the meeting, but stayed neutral.
You're a council member, and you're wearing a freaking t-shirt? Oh, come on.
Simply do not comment on these situations out of respect for due process.
Corla Blackwell says she didn't know Williams but felt compelled to help. She says she planned to bail him out, but the community came together to do it.
Well, that was nice of them. The community sprung Cameron from jail just in time for him to help some kid get away with attempted murder. Think about it. Kids like Cameron are responsible for making the cops' job harder and therefore raising the need for more police funding. It took longer and more manpower for the cops to track down the culprit because of Cameron. But he was out on the loose because the community set him free.
Later, she says Williams showed up at her home to tell his side.
We care about having good police officers and make sure this young man don't have this hanging over his head for the rest of his life.
Well, Cameron didn't want that incident hanging over his head either. His solution was to get the community to forget all about that incident by committing an even bigger crime. So what did Richard have to say at that time?
These politicians kind of deflect in the wake of that and not addressing the fact of police brutality. One of the council members deflected on black crime and lack of community involvement.
You mean like the snitches get stitches mantra that you undoubtedly hold to that allows criminals to run rampant in your communities? As for black on black crime, I'm willing to bet that the man the kid tried to rob and kill was black, and Cameron tried to help him get away with it. This just goes to show you that lack of community involvement and black on black crime is the real problem in Kinston, not police brutality. If you don't act like a real dick, the chances that you'll be brutalized by the police is tiny, practically zero. However, if you are black and you own, say, a store, the chances of you being a victim of crime by one of your brothers is much greater, and it doesn't matter how you act. Now remember, Richard Taylor's all about the truth, the reals. He wants his community to know all there is to know about Cameron Williams. So I looked, and I don't see him mentioning his latest arrest in any of his videos, and he won't mention it in a million years. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.